Welcome along to ATTV, Chris Legh.
Thank you. I think it's been a long time since I've been around the Australian traps.
Around the Australian traps, and you're also around the Australian Triathlete magazine traps as well. You used to be a big part of it.
Yeah, it was, had to be, I think, 3 years. So, yeah, I think having been involved in the sport for a number of years, and came into the magazine, and just to, I guess, give a bit of a background and a bit of foundation to some of the new staff members. So it's a part of our industry, and I think when each piece of the puzzle works, it's better for the industry. So it was great being a part of it.
Cool. Now, I could sit here all afternoon, and we said this the other day via email, chatting to you. You've got a million stories to go with your hundreds or thousands of triathlons that you've done. But we're going to start with the most recent story, Ironman Melbourne. It was your first Ironman back since 2007, at Port Mac.
I'm actually guessing myself, but even up till then, I think there'd been 3 years where my racing hadn't been great anyway. So that all led up to that one race being my last race. So yeah, I haven't really dabbled in the long stuff for a while.
So how did it feel getting back to, well, A, to the Ironman, but also back to your grassroots? Like, you grew up in racing in Victoria, along that beach road stretch all the way from, say, Frankston all the way up to St Kilda. So how did it feel being out there amongst it again?
It was, I think that was the highlight of it for me. It was a reunion in the sense of all the people I saw on the course and people that I was racing with. But looking at the course, having raced Frankston long course, I think 4 or 5 times, then it progressed, even places where I trained every Wednesday. We used to go to Mentone and swim there. Then we had Morty Alec where we raced, St Kilda, Elwood. The list just goes on and on. Brighton, Sandringham. So like most athletes in the state, we've raced every portion of that course, and it was fun just piecing it all together. And I hadn't actually run the course pre-race, but when I got into the mix, I'm like, well, I've seen this place before, and I've done this a few times. So it was really nice to, as I said, the combination of seeing the people out there and then getting back to the roots of the sport. And I think it's been almost 10 years since I've raced in Victoria.
Unreal. And let's talk about your race. You came 5th in a pretty stacked field, and like you said, you kind of hit a wall a little bit in the marathon, but you still managed to 252.
I think 251.
250
by a few seconds. No, it's funny. It always seems my fallback time is like 250, 251, but that was the one thing I trained well for. I hadn't really decided on doing the race until like the Tuesday before, and I actually had ridden over a part of a run I'd been doing all summer, and I thought to myself, it'd be a total waste if I didn't try this. And the fact that I'd put that much time into the run. So the run time is a disappointment to me, but actually the reasons for it, that's the way I race, and people often say they'd rather beg for forgiveness than ask for permission, and it's almost what I did on the course. I put myself out of the race on the bike, and I came off the bike a few too many minutes down, and I felt fantastic on the run, and I kept a good tempo, but I didn't go out what I thought too hard, and looked at my watch at 10k, and it was a 35-minute 10k, and I'm like, I might feel that one soon. And but no, for me, it's either I could have protected 4th place, and I don't really think there's a huge difference between 4th and 5th, and I thought I may as well go for it. Ironman's Ironman, and Craig and Nico or Marino could be walking up the road, so I gave it a real crack, and yeah, I think at about 25k I felt the consequences, so I crumbled from that point. And it was funny, I raced the first part well, so people saw that, people see the end, and I'm glad no one saw the middle, because it was an absolute disgrace. And actually my dad saw it, he was on the bike, and he saw me a couple of times, and it was actually really fun going through that with him, even though I don't think he enjoyed seeing me do it. But yeah, it was a disaster, middle 12, 14 kilometres.
So on that though, the point-to-point run, from all accounts, from what I've heard from all of the professionals and even the age groupers, is that they love the point-to-point run. But one of the hardest things is sort of knowing where you're at. People will yell splits at you, but how often can you trust people's mathematical skills out on the course?
No, you got that right. You could have someone riding another direction giving you a split, and I'm like, well, you've just ridden a kilometre, that's 2 minutes, and you try to do the math yourself. So no, it is hard, but the fortunate thing chasing is you do get good splits, and you have to feel sorry for the guys behind in front that aren't really getting the splits on what you're doing behind. So the fact that I was able to get ahead of the guys behind me, I didn't have to worry about those wrong splits, and it was more focusing on what was ahead. But I said, I went for the podium, and racing those three guys at the front, they're either got a world championship or a world record. So once you make a mistake, and I did on the bike, then you know you're going to have to pay for it somewhere. And I don't really regret trying to chase them down, and had fun doing it.
Well, it was awesome to see you out there doing an Ironman again, and I think everyone watching could agree. But I want to talk to you as well about what you had to do with bringing Ironman Melbourne to the Asia Pacific World Championships.
It was probably the fact I was so passionate about the sport. I got into into triathlon because of Ironman, and I went through that phase where I couldn't race anymore. Still loved that whole side of the sport, and actually the fact I was injured as well during that period, I thought I might try to work on a couple of projects, and Ironman was one of them. And Sarah, my wife, wants to kill me taking on a few extra projects, but I just proposed the whole concept to Ironman and mentioned that Melbourne and Victoria were pretty much the sports capital of Australia, and beyond that, the world. And so they gave me permission to sort of pursue some local contacts. And initially we looked at Docklands and a number of courses, but logistically that was impossible. And we worked for 3 years getting support from Victorian Major Events Corporation. And so the real balance there was looking at sort of economic impacts, and also putting on an event that was world class. And if you look at all the other events that VMEC are involved in, and it can be the Australian Open Tennis, the Formula One Grand Prix, a bunch of art festivals, the Herald Sun Tour, they're all world-class events. So we had to ensure that this was more than just another Ironman, and we sort of had to feed it into the schedule and not cannibalise a lot of other races, so that people are really critical of a couple of things, but we just had to be careful placing it into the calendar. But the fortunate thing is we were able to get it done. It's not the ideal course, it's not the course we were after, but you've got to remember in the world, the next biggest race, Ironman race, is in Frankfurt, and I think they have a population of 800,000. So we're dealing with 4+ million people here, and I think they've done a fantastic job, and it'll get better and better every year. And I think they've just got to go through those little issues year in, year out, and it's just going to get better and better.
And where do you actually see it going? I believe they've got a 3-year contract with potential to having a couple of years tacked on the end of that.
Yeah, right. It was a 3-year agreement, and obviously heading into next year, that's the last year of that agreement. But I met with Nick Green this morning, who works at Major Events Corporation, and he was been very happy with it, and loves what the sport's brought to Melbourne. He actually raced the relay last year, and he sees like all the benefits in having the race here, and obviously wants it to become a world-renowned event. You have to keep trying to get the best athletes here, and obviously put on a fantastic show for the age groupers. So I think if we keep achieving that, the race will be viable and will be here a long, long time.